We are live. Welcome to Choosing Us, you guys.
What's up?
We got something good for you. So,
It's going to be a little spicy.
yep. So, we're going to start this out. Obviously, if you looked at the title of this episode, I'm going to tell you right now, don't listen to this episode around your kids or around anybody. Probably not playing it at the library or anywhere in public.
Library.
Anywhere in public. The library is just the first one that came to my mind. Yep, you're welcome.
Mom, Dad, you're welcome.
Yep. So if you do not want to have the conversation, which really most people get uncomfortable with the conversation around intimacy, but it needs to happen. We are a relationship podcast, and a big, big, big part of that is sex.
And here's the thing. It's such a taboo topic, and it shouldn't be. We had a conversation quite some time ago, and your relationship with your spouse is probably exceptionally similar to your relationships with your best friends. There's one big caveat, which is the physical side.
Yep.
The intimate side, sex. And that is the big change. That is the delineating factor that changes a relationship from just a relationship / roommates to becoming one, as
Right.
it says in the Bible.
Yeah.
And how important it is. And I've had a lot of conversations over the years with people and their marriages and their relationships. And this is something I learned from a religious leader, actually. Several of them and several marriage counselors. All of them in unison, without fail. The first question they ask when somebody is struggling in their relationship is, when was the last time you had sex and how often do you do it? And I mean, they're struggling, right? So the chances are infrequent and a long time ago. And I've known in several instances where they said, cool, meeting adjourned. Go home and have sex and we'll resume tomorrow. It's that important. And tinfoil hat, so many people are trying to tear down the world and tear down the family, specifically the family. I believe we are living in the end of times, and the adversary is doing his utmost to tear the family apart. A very accessible way for that to happen is pornography.
Yeah.
And removing sex from a relationship. And that's sad.
Yeah. Going on a side tangent there a little bit, I was thinking of the video that you were watching with, is it Billie Eilish?
Oh, yeah.
That she talked about porn and how she just grew up literally watching it as a teenager. And she just thought that that's what you did, to learn how to do it and to get instruction and different things. And she came out in an interview and said, this is not okay. And you can kind of add on to more of what she said because I didn't watch the entire video, but
She mostly just said that it's been made normal and her idea of sex is not normal. It is very skewed. And in her capacity, she got really into the BDSM and really into violence. And she made herself available for whoever because that's what they do in porn. And she let things happen that should have never happened and are not okay.
yeah. And we do know people who are addicted to porn or who have been addicted to porn, and how much that affects your relationship. People normalize it, just like you said, but it has such an effect on your relationship in a negative way because you are seeing two actors that are acting, literally acting. That's not what you're going to find in the bedroom when two partners are making love or connecting or working on their marriage and building their relationship or having this continuous connection in their relationship. It's not going to be what you're seeing on these websites or on your phone. It will not be that way. And if you are watching that, and then trying to compare it or trying to replicate that, it will end up messing up your relationship.
You're going down a deep hole.
Yeah.
For sure. And so back to the topic.
Yeah.
Sex in your relationship is vitally important. And the importance and the quality of sex comes back to how well you communicate.
That's huge.
Communication. How often are you communicating together about sex when you're having sex and when you're not having sex? Both instances.
Yeah. I think people forget about that. Like literally when you are in the middle of it, having sex, are you talking? Are you being like, are you communicating and saying, wow, this feels really good? Or, I didn't love that. How is your partner going to know? They cannot read your mind. So if you are having this repetitive same thing every single time, guess what? It's going to get boring. First of all, you got to switch it up. Second of all, communicating and telling your partner what you like and don't like is the best thing that you can do, because then you actually know. Because other than that, you're just going to be guessing.
We're not mind readers in any direction.
What?
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 I can't read Michaela's mind. She can't read my mind. And understanding and being able to read each other, that helps. Getting to know each other on that capacity helps. More frequent engagement helps. And recognizing there's a purpose for what you're doing. There's a purpose. There's a connection that is made that can only be made when you're physically intimate. When bodies are touching, you get this, our serotonin levels change. We know this. This has been scientifically proven more times than you can really count. Just from receiving a hug for greater than 6 seconds drops serotonin. Now, when you go skin to skin, this is why it's so big when babies are born to do a skin to skin moment, because it creates a bond. And that bond, we're familial creatures. We make families. We stay together. We mate for life. That's what our species is designed to do. Not everybody does that. Some people bounce all over the place. But in that capacity, that's an egotistically driven desire fulfillment. Versus I am with my wife to create a bond and to be one, literally. And how important that is and how special that is. And if you just have sex for yourself and to get off and to have an end, it gets kind of boring. It gets fruitless. It gets empty because it's egotistically driven. But if you were there in purpose, with intention, and actually there in the moment, not just like you're physically there, but your mind's somewhere else because you have a lot going on in life. Be like, what? You can have sex and think of other things? Yeah. Be married 10 years. It's easy to do. And keeping it changed. Michaela mentioned earlier to change it up and to keep it spicy and to play. People forget you're supposed to play.
Oh yeah. Some of my favorite experiences and times that we have had are when we are laughing and goofy and silly and just like having fun. Those are my favorite times when something gross or silly happens or whatever, and we both bust up laughing in the middle of it. Like, I love that because it connects us even more, and it adds that as a stronger memory because you're putting even more emotion into that experience.
We knew someone once upon a time. They'd been married for, 12, 13, 14 years, and had never left missionary position. Never once. In their whole marriage. Mind blown. What?
Yep.
How boring is that?
Yeah, I can't even imagine.
And this person, they were dumbfounded that you would do anything different.
Go to Barnes & Noble. They have books.
It's called Karma Sutra.
Yeah. They literally will give you any idea that you want. You don't have to come up with it on your own.
And in our conversations early on, Have a conversation. What is a go, no go in your relationship, in your marriage? Whatever position, whatever toy, whatever anything in that space, dirty talk, not dirty talk. Do you allow certain vocabulary in the bedroom that you don't otherwise? What do you allow in that space? And have a conversation as to what that is. And I mean, there was a time not too long ago where Michaela really wanted something and I really wanted something, and we talked about it afterwards. What would have happened if we didn't talk about it? Oh, I want to do this, but it's kind of taboo. It's kind of different. I'm just not going to bring it up. I'll just let it go. I'll let it slide. But in the moment, I had this great urge to do this thing. And little did I know, so did Michaela. What?
Crazy.
But we spoke about it. We had a conversation. And I said, when we were together, I really wanted to do this. And she's like, no way. So did I. Well, guess what? 9.5 years later of being married, our dynamic has dramatically changed.
And what's really awesome is, so like you said, we've been married 9.5 years. In the past 6 months, probably, it has been the best that it has ever been in our entire relationship. Because first of all, we prioritize it. You should be spending time being intimate with your partner. Now, this does not just have to mean sex. It could be cuddling or just spending time one-on-one, but having that physical intimacy, I would say at least once a week with your partner. At least.
I would probably say more.
At least, yes. I would say probably healthy is like 2 to 3 times a week. But at least once a week. And if you are not doing this with your partner, you are not fully experiencing and giving yourself the time that your relationship needs. Like when we spend this time together, when we make it a priority on a regular basis, we are better as a team. We communicate better. We're happier. Weird, right? When you release these endorphins, you become happier and we function better as a family and as a team unit. Don't you want that? And sometimes you're not going to be in the mood. I'm going to tell you, there's going to be times when you are exhausted, when you have a million other things on your mind, when it's not your top priority, but it is important. It's not going to be fireworks every single time. There's going to be some times that you're like, wow, that was amazing. That was great. And there's going to be other times that it's like, yeah, we needed that connection. Like we've been struggling recently. We needed to connect.
Yeah. And I mean, go back to other episodes. Michaela's love language is physical touch. That is not my love language. So when I'm stressed, that is not where I go. When Michaela's stressed, that is where she goes because she is craving more love. When I'm stressed, she's stressed. Duh. We're a team. So if part of the team is stressed, the rest of the team is stressed. It's so important that when I'm stressed, that I still am intimate with her because she needs the connection. She feels distanced. She feels isolated in some form or fashion. And so for the first 8 or 9 years of our marriage, we had periodically what we called the 7-day challenge, where we would try and have sex every day for 7 days. And it was a challenge. It was really hard. And from there, we just lost camera feed on one of the cameras. Dang it. Oh, well, it's not the first time. But in this challenge, we worked through, and we normally make it 7 days. We were really proud of ourselves. But the focus was wrong. That's why it was a challenge. We were focusing on the endpoint, the release. And it's tiring on the body. At least for dudes, it's really tiring. It's really energy drawing to release. And so we've changed that dynamic to where maybe release happens, maybe it doesn't. That's not the point.
The point is connection.
The point is to be together. And that has changed everything. And in fact, most of the time, there's no release.
Yeah. Which is mind-blowing for most people, because that's what you think of when you think of sex, right? Is so many people, most of the world, it's like, oh, you're having sex. You want something out of it. But that's not the purpose. The purpose is to have connection, to grow closer to your partner. It is so cool when there are moments to where the focus is just like hugging each other and just looking into each other's souls and being like, this is my person. That is the most intimate and raw and vulnerable that I feel like that you can get.
Yeah. I mean, how often are people really awkward, I guess you want to say, when they do eye gazing? When you just stare in each other's eyes. I mean, this is something that quite a few marriage counselors will have you do, just stare in each other's eyes for like 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. Not say a word, just stare. Most humans that have a soul will start crying. Most humans, after 10 to 15 minutes of staring each other's eyes, you can do this with a stranger. Stare in a stranger's eyes for 10 or 15 minutes. Most people will begin crying because there's a connection point. Now imagine doing that with your spouse when you're intimate.
It's really cool.
It's really powerful. And for those people, most people, and if you're sitting here like, man, I've never had sex like that. I've never been like that with my spouse. You're in the normal camp. Most people are like that. They don't go down the throes of studying the greats of the world and why they are the way they are.
Now, obviously, if you're going to do this with your partner, have the conversation beforehand and be like, hey, I'd really like to do this and I'd like to try this, instead of just in the middle,
I'm just staring in your
just
eyes.
stare. It's like not a staring contest, but it's like have the conversation beforehand. Talk about the things that you want to try. Or if you're just frustrated with where you're at right now, what do you want to change? What do you want to try? What is important to you? Mix it up. Try new things. We, every single year, have tried to mix it up a little bit. Try new things and communicate more.
Talk. That's the premise of all of it, is communicating with each other on a raw level. We've had episodes about being real and raw. Man, fart when you have sex. It's normal. It's a human thing.
Yep.
And yeah, it's funny. But show up and be who you are and allow the other person to see you. When we were first married, and this is super common, especially if you are a virgin up until getting married, it is so common to feel, oh, I don't want to be fully seen. But that's the one person that should fully see you in all capacity. And yeah, women, when you have kids, your body changes. It happens. As you age, your body changes. It happens. But accepting and loving who you are and showing up for you and for your spouse. It's important.
Yep. Having the conversations, talking in the bedroom about what you like, about what you don't like. It is so important to continue regular intimacy in your relationship. If you can't remember the last time that you really, really connected with your partner, my guess is you're going to have other issues in your relationship too.
Definitely.
That is one place that I would say start. If you are struggling, if your relationship is not where you want it to be, have more sex.
Not less. Most people drop that off first, or they withhold it because they're mad or angry.
Don't do that.
That's pretty messed up. because that's a human requirement.
And if you have a partner whose love language is physical touch and you're like, I'm not in the mood. I've worked all day. I've been at school or whatever it may be. I've been with the kids all day. I'm exhausted. Still connect. One thing that we have changed is we have started trying to do it as much as possible in the morning because we have a lot more energy at that point. And then when you get to the end of the day, we're both exhausted. And it's not always the same.
When she says morning, we're talking like alarm goes off and it's in that moment.
Yeah.
We're still kind of sleepy. You're in a trance. You're in an altered state, which also changes it.
Yep. And not both partners are always going to be fully in the mood every single time. But if your partner's like, I really need this, especially if their love language is physical touch, be like, this is something I really could use right now. And this would mean a lot. And I'd love for us to connect this way. Even if you're not fully there, if you're not fully present, I have learned from experience that I am still going to connect with my partner because that is important to me. But I have learned that even if I don't start in the mood, as things get going,
you get there.
You get there.
And we do tell each other, I'm not there yet, but give me a minute. And that's okay. Communication.
Yep.
That's what we got for you guys. We're grateful for you. Leave us reviews. Reach out to us. Have this conversation. Have this conversation with your significant other. It's important. If you really want to level up your sex. There's a lot of ways to do it. And there's no one right way. So, like this, subscribe to it, download it for future listenings. Until next week, we love you guys. Bye.